I started the month off watching a viewer recommendation as it happens, 1998's Dead Letter Office. It's a nice little indie film directed by John Ruane with a cast that I'd never seen before. In the film, she'd been sending letters to her dad since childhood, and they'd always come back undeliverable. When she got older, she gets a job in the Dead Letter Office, hoping to work out where it was. It's a lovely little film. It's a bit slow, but that, I think, is the beauty of it. I give it 7 out of 10. Next up is 1963's film Charade. For starters, it's got Gregory Peck in it and Audrey Hepburn, so you just know it's going to be good. I always thought it was a Hitchcock film, but it's not. It's by Stanley Donen, who actually did films like Singing in the Rain as well. Basically, Lampert, which is Audrey, is chased by a group of men trying to get their hands on the money her murdered husband had stolen. It's a fun film that also stars the likes of Walter Matthau, James Coburn, and George Kennedy as bad guys. Gregory Peck is as debonair as always, and Audrey Hepburn, well, you know, don't you? It's a really enjoyable film, and I give it 8 out of 10. Coming up next, we had The Wicker Man from 1973. This is an oddball of a film. Edward Woodward plays an uptight policeman sent to a Scottish island looking for a missing girl that the locals say never existed. It's supposed to be a horror, but for me it felt like a folk rock musical. You do get to see Britt Ekland's bum as she writhes against a wall. Christopher Lee has the weirdest hairstyle, and the villains are a bunch of pagans. It was supposed to be the best British horror film of its time, but to be honest with you, I don't know what the fuss was all about. It was just odd, I think. I only gave it 3 out of 10. After that, I watched Lstrada from 1954, which was another of those viewer recommendations that I've had. Jesselmina is sold by her poor mother to Zampano, which is Anthony Quinn, to be his wife. He's a brutal man who treats her badly and beats her, but she's loyal to him until he kills Il Matto the circus fool when she decides she's had enough. Directed by Federico Fellini, it's regarded as a classic. Anthony Quinn is excellent as Zampano, Giulietta Messina is superb as Jesselmina, and Richard Basehart is great as Il Matto. It's not a film that's going to leave you with a smile, but it's a very worthwhile watch, and I'll give it 8 out of 10. Followed that up with 2016's film Away. Now, I've always liked Timothy Spall, so when I saw this, I was definitely going to catch up with it. This isn't, though, a smiley, happy film. In fact, it's quite depressing. Set in Blackpool, it's about two kindred spirits forming a surprising friendship. Joseph's a widower, intent on drinking himself to death, and Rhea is running away for the best of reasons. Their chance encounter takes you on their journey. It's dark and gritty, and even though I shouldn't have liked them, I did. There was a few too many flashbacks in the film for me, but it was still watchable, and for me, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Next up is a TV film from 2013. The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher, Murder in Angel Lane, was surprisingly good. When Mr. Witcher, who's a retired policeman, helps a country lady to find her niece, he's drawn into a case of murder that brings him up against wealthy and powerful people and throws him into conflict with his former colleagues. Paddy Considine is great as Mr. Witcher, and Olivia Colman sparkles as Susan Spencer. There are twists and turns galore in a film that I found quite engrossing. For a TV movie, it's well worth a watch. 8 out of 10 from me. I followed that up with a family film, 1986's Short Circuit. It's a fun film about an experimental robot that gets hit by a bolt of lightning, becomes intelligent, and escapes. It stars Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy in a light-hearted sci-fi fantasy that's aimed at the kids. It's fast, it's funny, and it's an enjoyable film. I hadn't seen it for years, and I enjoyed it. It passed a Sunday afternoon and left me with a smile in my face, so I give it 6 out of 10. Changing tack a bit, I watched 1973's The Harder They Fall. I had the soundtrack album years ago, and I loved it, and so I did think it was about time that I checked the film out. Jimmy Cliff plays Ivanhoe Martin, who returns home to look for work and after a few struggles, he gets signed up as a reggae singer. He makes his first song, but has a dispute with the dodgy producer who manipulates him, and he ends up committing petty crimes to get money to pay the bills. He deals dope, he kills some dodgy policemen, and becomes a local hero to the people at the same time that his record hits the charts. It's an okay film with a great soundtrack, but it's not as good as I was hoping, so I only give it 5 out of 10. 1964's A Fistful of Dollars was up next. This was the debut of the man with no name, played by Clint Eastwood. He enters a Mexican village in the middle of a power struggle between the baddies and the sheriff. The baddies ambush a Mexican army regiment stealing gold, and the man with no name gets in the middle of the power struggle, selling false information to both sides to benefit himself. It's an okay film if you like this sort of thing. I found it slow and obvious, and there's an out-of-tune whistle that plays with the soundtrack that really is quite off-putting. I give it a 6 out of 10. Next up was 2022's Jerry and Marge Go Large. It's a story of how a retiree discovers a loophole in a Massachusetts lottery, and with the help of his wife, wins $27 million and uses the money to revive their small Michigan town. Bryan Cranston and Annette Bening play the husband and wife in this gentle film. The story's well acted and the leads are really good, particularly Annette Bening for her excitement through the film. There's a twist in the story about 2/3 of the way through that brings about some conflict. And it's a good watch, based on a true story, but it's not a great watch. I'll give it 6 out of 10. Next up, we're going to 2019 and the film Yesterday. Yesterday is really a film about a land where the Beatles no longer exist, except for aspiring singer Jack Malek. His life changes one night when he's hit on his bike by a bus at the same time as there was a power cut around the world. Only he remembers the songs, so he passes them off as his own. Ed Sheeran thinks he's great and gets him to go and be his support. Success comes, but at a price. It's a fun film that I enjoyed, even more so as the amusement arcade featured in the film belongs to my cousin. I give it a 7 out of 10. Next up, it's 1961's film Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. I loved the series on TV when I was a kid, so I thought it was about time that I checked out the film that it came from. It starts with a cheesy Bobby Rydell theme song. It's got an unlikely plot. The plot line is thin as well. The dialogue, bad. But for its age, it's a fun science fiction film. If I was watching it as a 6-year-old, I would probably have loved it. Also, I would have liked it because Irwin Allen, who was the producer, also produced some of the other programs that I loved as a kid, Land of the Giants and Lost in Space. Now though, it's just a bit of fun and not to be taken too seriously. 5 out of 10 from me. The next film I watched was a cracker. From 2015, it's The Martian. I finally got around to seeing this film and I'm actually glad that I did. I was pretty much engrossed from the start. I thought that Matt Damon was excellent in a role where he was basically on his own for 90% of the time. I thought the film flowed well. If you don't know, he plays Mark Watney, an astronaut who's left on the planet for dead during a fierce storm whilst the other astronauts get away. His story starts from there. I really enjoyed it. 9 out of 10 from me. From there, I went back to 1973 and the film Don't Look Now. Now this one is a strange one. A grieving couple who've lost their daughter are in Venice, where the husband is restoring a church. They encounter a pair of sisters, one of whom is blind and a psychic, and she passes on a warning from their daughter. It's just a weird storyline, and as the film went on, I started to get bored with it, to be honest. I found myself wondering how much longer the film was going on, as I lost interest. Donald Sutherland's perm was off-putting as well. And then, of course, there's the infamous sex scene that was not really anything to talk about. It's 4 out of 10. Then I revisited a film I hadn't seen since it first came out, 1999's The Matrix. Having not seen it for a long time, I was wondering what I was in for, but I gotta be honest, the action starts really quickly, and Trinity's fight scene with the police had me laughing out loud in incredulation about how she did it in the first 5 minutes. Set in the 22nd century, The Matrix tells the story of a computer hacker who joins a group fighting the powerful companies who rule the world. I thought I wasn't going to enjoy it because over the years I've gone off sci-fi. But I was wrong, you know. I really enjoyed it. I'll give it 9 out of 10. Up next was 1979's Quadrophenia, a film that I've watched quite a lot of times, to be honest. Based on the 1973 rock opera of the same name, this is the story of Jimmy, who's got a lowly job. But outside of that, he's part of the London mod scene. The film spends a lot of time getting ready for a Whitsun bank holiday drive to Brighton, mainly to fight with the rockers. It's got a cast that rose to prominence on the UK TV and film scene, and there's even a pop star in it. I have to say, it's a superb performance by Phil Daniels in the film. He plays Jimmy just as you would expect Jimmy to be. It's not a feel-good film, but it is definitely a decent watch. 8 out of 10. Next up for me, a perfect film, 2022's Living. It's 1953, and Bill Nighy plays Mr. Williams, who's a veteran civil servant whose life is empty and meaningless. He gets a medical diagnosis that forces him to take stock and to try and get some fulfillment before it's too late. It's not a jolly film, but it's definitely worthwhile, and I really enjoyed it. Now, Bill Nighy plays that civil servant just as you would expect him to. And Amy Lee Wood is exceptional as his junior from The Office, who becomes his confidant. It's a beautiful film, and I loved it. 10 out of 10. And from there I went to 1957's The Titfield Thunderbolt. It's an Ealing comedy about a little train branch line that's about to be closed. A group of local residents bid to run it themselves, but find themselves up against the local bus company that tries to undermine them. This is a charming little film with a great British cast that included Stanley Holloway, John Gregson and Sid James. Whilst it's one of Ealing Studios' more gentle films, it did bring back a sense of innocence that's much missing these days. I give it 8 out of 10. Next up, I saw The Talented Mr. Ripley from 1999. I like Matt Damon, I like Jude Law. I should have liked this, but for me it was just a little bit average. Tom Ripley is hired by a US shipbuilder to go to Italy to bring his playboy son home. It should have been great. It had an intriguing plot, but just did nothing for me. The cast was really good, but I don't know why it just felt too long for me. Had it been 30 minutes shorter, I might have liked it more. Sadly, I can only give it 5 out of 10. And the last film I watched this month was 1961's The Devil at 4 o'clock. Starring Spencer Tracy and Frank Sinatra, this is a story about an ill-tempered eccentric priest who recruits 3 reluctant convicts to help him rescue a children's leper colony from a Pacific island when a nearby volcano erupts. It wasn't a film that kept me on the edge of my seat by any means, but it was a reasonable watch for the age of the film. Actually, the reason I watched this film was because I wanted to see Spencer Tracy as an old curmudgeon, but what he was more like was a wheeler dealer. And Frank Sinatra wasn't in a role that particularly stretched him in any way. It's not a classic of a film, but it wasn't by any means the worst film I watched this month. So I finish up giving it 6 out of 10. Thanks very much for watching this month's What I Watched in May. If you click up there, there's a whole playlist of other TV and film related videos for you to feast your eyes on. I'll see you next time.